Welcome to KAIZENTalk, where we explore the transformative power of Kaizen in businesses worldwide. In each episode, we will bring together experts and practitioners who are passionate about driving continuous improvement to achieve extraordinary results across industries. Hello everyone, you're back at another episode of Kaizen Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Fery, Managing Director of Kaizen Institute Singapore. I'm excited to explore some remarkable transformation stories with you today. Today, we are diving into a specific, interesting sector, which is mining, a field known for its rugged environment and complex operations. We'll find out the unique challenges and opportunities of implementing Kaizen in the mining sector. To help you unpack this fascinating topic, we have three outstanding guests joining us from around the globe from Kaizen Institute. First of all, Mbuso Nkosi, Managing Director of Kaizen Institute South Africa, with over 16 years of experience in operational excellence and continuous improvement, specializing in Kaizen, Lean, and Six Sigma methodologies. He has led successful projects in industry including mining, where he focused on reducing lead time and improving productivity. Mbuso is passionate about bringing the Kaizen culture to life, particularly in mining sector, to unlock Africa's growth potential. Hello Mbuso, good to have you with us.
Hi Fery, thanks for having me.
Our next speaker, Bruno Mejias, Director of Kaizen Institute Chile, has over 10 years of experience leading consulting projects, training and coaching in various industries, including mining, telecommunication, manufacturing, and more. His expertise include implementing productivity improvement methodologies such as Lean Six Sigma, Total Flow Management, and Total Service Management. Hello Bruno, good to have you with us too.
Hello Fery, hello guys. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. And last but not least, let's move to the next speaker, Caetano Fontana, Consulting Manager at Kaizen Institute Brasil, a professional with over 8 years of experience in project management and the implementation of Kaizen principles across various sectors, including mining. At Kaizen Institute Brasil, Caetano has led several impactful projects focused on improving process management, operational efficiencies, significantly reducing lead time and increasing productivity, particularly in mining sector. Welcome, Caetano.
Hi Fery, hi everyone. Nice to be here.
Okay, so gentlemen, it's my privilege to have you all here. And let's start our discussion about the Kaizen implementation in mining. First of all, let's kick off by exploring the unique challenges of implementing Kaizen in the mining industry with Mbuso and Bruno first. So mining operations are inherently complex and challenging, requiring specialized expertise and tailored approach to address their unique demands. Given your extensive experience in South Africa and Chile, what are some of the key hurdles you have faced when introducing Kaizen principles in such demanding industry? Perhaps we can ask Mbuso to start first. Right, Mbuso?
Thank you, Fery. No, I think I do agree with you. Certainly, they're very complex. So if you think of a mine, and when we say mine, I think to just paint a picture, there is the actual mine operation, but there's also a processing, operation. So they process the minerals, and you just look at that scale, which generally it will be in outskirt places, and as you've highlighted, that it's complex as well. So it's not like a manufacturing site where you come in and everything is within one space. Certainly, if you think of transformation, you pretty much have a few companies in one area. So that for us is generally the complexity that we have to deal with. And I would say, just as a hit as I hand over to Bruno, is that you have to take the whole idea of piloting and starting, one area at a time. But certainly I do agree with you that it is challenging, and just the complexity, the amount of machinery that's there and everything that could fail, it brings about a different spin as opposed to manufacturing or a place that's relatively small in size. Bruno.
Yeah. And before Bruno starts, just to give you additional information about him, he used to work in the mines, right, before he joined Kaizen Institute. And I would love to hear from you, Bruno. What are the challenges?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you said that it's a complex environment, and as Mbuso said, it's like having a whole city inside a mining facility. You have all the processes, you have all the Gemba thing, but they also the people lives there. The people lives there the whole week, and you have places to buy things and places to hang out with the guys. It's like a city there. And the thing about the complexity of the process, it's not that much as the process itself. In my experience and in these years, as you said, I worked in mining before working in Kaizen Institute here in Chile. In the mine, in the offices, the thing about the complexity is not the process itself. The thing about the complexity is the people, is the lot of paradigms, the lot of ways of doing things. You can meet people with 20 to 30 years of experience working there, and applying Kaizen concepts, applying the Kaizen mindset in a place with that many paradigms make this complex. But also you have the complexity of the process. So you have a lot of troubles, but you have a lot of opportunities also.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm now curious to also ask the same question to Caetano in Brazil. How is it like for you to implement Kaizen in the mining in Brazil?
I can mention that two relevant differences for the application of Kaizen in the mining sector are the fact that the product is disassembled. So we are not assembling or adding parts to unassemble a final product. And we need to change our point of view. In this case, you are transforming an impure rock, as an example, into a pure final product. Of course, there is a process analogous to assemble, which is a chemical process, but it's not similar to assembling a car, for example. Another difference is that is not exclusive to the mining sector, but is very present in this sector, is the size of the company. These are usually large companies that have many hierarchical levels in several units. Therefore, the Kaizen team needs to clearly define how to start and expand the continuous improvement program.
And from at least my guessing, right? So in mining, sometimes it's like outdoor. It feels like more outdoor than in a manufacturing setting, which is indoor. Second thing is like maybe it's very dusty, a lot of dust, rugged environment, and generally it's a very manly environment, right? So you have a lot of men who are hardened, who have been there for many years, trained by the elements. So you as a consultant who is like educated, maybe looks very polished, and you go there trying to tell me, what to do Kaizen? Perhaps I think that is also one of the biggest change, right? The mindset.
Yeah, so I think one thing for me, certainly what makes Kaizen Institute different is the pragmatic approach, the practical approach. So as you've mentioned that I'm the MD, but if we open the boot of my car right now, we'll find a set of boots and a hard hat, because the whole concept of a consultant who's sitting in a boardroom versus a Kaizen consultant who moves from the boardroom all the way to the Gemba makes the difference. Because as you say, the respect comes. Do you even know? Have you touched what I'm talking about? So it's not just concepts in the boardroom, but certainly for Kaizen Institute because we're so pragmatic and we wearing shirts right now, but if I go to the plant, definitely I've got my full protective gear and I'm in the gemba with the people. And I think that moves where you start to understand and see how the gemba is performing. So yeah, you've raised a valid point, but it becomes important because in Kaizen, that's how we roll.
Adding something to Mbuso's what Mbuso was saying is that mining is not a comfy place. It's not a comfy environment to do your everyday work. You do your improvement. You do your leadership work. So you have to, and not only the consultants but also the leaders. The leaders in Gemba, the leaders are. It's very important that they go to the process. They go to the Gemba, but sometimes there are some places you cannot go in the mining process. And there is where the maybe the Gemba walk or the Kamishibai and some practices that we teach and we apply in Gemba must be very adapted to this kind of environment. It's not a common size, as Caetano said. We are used to being and you said we are in a closed area, very very nice place, but the leaders, the role of the leader in the Gemba and the role of the consultant that guides you in the develop of some tools, or some Kaizen principles, is key to adapt to this new environment. And sometimes there are some things that don't work here, and we have to do it very particular to the mining Gemba.
Yeah. And I can relate to Mbuso's sharing, right? Because I used to work in the oil and gas industry, which is, I think, a bit similar, where the environment is very harsh. So as a young engineer, you are forced to wear the overalls, hard hat, everything sweaty, and then trying to convince people there is a better way of working. Well, they say, "Oh, I've been here 30 years. You don't know what you're talking." So, maybe other than Gemba, which is, I truly believe in it, that we need to go Gemba, work with the team, understand the issues. What other methods do you have to actually relate better to the team and then get them, start pondering about Kaizen?
So yeah, maybe just on my side. So I'm currently in discussion with a mine in Mozambique. And I think it's quite evident, as you say, apart from being Gemba orientated, the showing of immediate results. So as you say, it's quite a brutal environment. So they sort of the discussion on the onset to say, we hear you, transformation, sustainability, you changing of the culture over a period of time, but what do you have to show now? So certainly, I think as part of the initial stages of engaging in mining space, it becomes important, to really go to the pain points through your value stream analysis, but come up with initiatives that are going to show immediate results as we go through the transformation process. That certainly for the leadership makes a big difference as well in the mining space, because it's very result orientated and people want results, and you need to show immediate results as you go through the journey.
Okay, thank you. And next, and gentlemen.
Okay, to convince people to implement the Kaizen philosophy, we need to convince, of course, first the senior manager with practice and not just with theories. We have the commitment of the senior managers, the guys on Gemba. These are the first condition to do it. After this, we need to show that the lives and the work of the employees will improve, showing some case, some tips, some wastes they are cutting. We reduce their time, their risk of security sometimes. We do this doing some immediately case, and Mbuso said, and showing some success stories with short, medium, and long-term benefits.
Yeah, I think that complementing what Caetano said is that these guys in these companies have seen a lot of consulting firms. They are big companies with money and a lot of countries presence in, and they have seen a lot of consulting companies. So they want to see something new. They want to see something that it's different from the other guys and the other consultant firms. And of course, as Caetano said, showing a case study, maybe a case study that goes out from mining, can say, oh, we can apply that also here. Yeah, and you need to have that ability to adapt. Again, that's the keyword, adapt that in this Gemba. But also this kind of processes and this kind of environment that, as Mbuso said, you need to show results, you need to show impact in what you are doing. These guys in mining also want, in my case, I'm speaking from Chile, a different type of leadership. The leadership here in the mining companies and the mining Gemba was a very kind of old-fashioned, in an old-fashioned way of leadership. And when you do these practices that we implement, the daily Kaizen practices, the value stream Kaizen, that you came with all the people looking for the wastes of the process, you kind of also show a different type of leadership and a different type of doing the things better. That's a very good way to show these case studies and show the results that Mbuso and Caetano said before.
And it's interesting that you guys share this. One aspect you mentioned, we need to have result fast to convince the stakeholders, right, the leaders. And at least from what Bruno shared, to sustain it, you also need to influence the leader or change the leadership behavior, right? In such a way that when we after we roll out all this implementation, a new leadership style is in place where they will encourage their team to sustain the improvement. Perhaps you can share with me a little bit more about what is the new leadership style? I mean, some of the audience might not know our principles, right? Our Kaizen leadership. What is it about, right?
I think when we faced in our projects here in Chile, when we faced the leadership, you kind of see two different type of leaders or two different levels of leaders. One is the C-level of the company and the guys that are commanding the business and who are translating the business from this multinational reality to the Gemba. And the other one are the Gemba leaders, the guys that are there with the guys from the Gemba in every day. So in a C-level perspective, the main challenge and the main work of these guys is, as every company, align this corporative point of view of the things. Because as Caetano said, here you have a lot of facilities. One company can have, 5 to 10 facilities, and each facility is like a different company. It's like a different world with different paradigms. So in a C-level point of view is mandatory to align this corporate view, make like an agreement with all these C-level guys, and setting for each side the way of doing things. And if you have a continuous improvement or an operational excellence model, you need to achieve that standardization, and the C-levels and the tools of the Kaizen leaders Kaizen program are key to develop this standardization in this level. And finally, in the Gemba leaders, these supervisors, this chief of the people in Gemba, the way of doing things is, at first step, a lot of confirmation, a lot of standardization. There are constantly new ways of doing things, constantly are improvements in the Gemba. Standardize in a good way and confirming the process in a good way. And because the people in mining are very skilled people, actually. Here in Chile, operators and supervisors are very skilled, are very specialized. They have high retention rates in mining here in Chile, low rotation of the people, plus 20 years of experience. They have a lot of, this is my own way to do the things. How can you are not going here to teach me how to do things, but this supervisor's point of view of standardizing and confirming what we are doing are key to sustain the continuous improvement.
And do you have cases where sometimes even the supervisors might not be as experienced as the frontline employee?
We have some, and yeah, because they are not that kind of natural leader that this natural leader can teach the others. You have some cases here where they search for a supervisor that's a professional, an engineer, and came from another industry, and there is the key to develop to these leadership skills. You have to develop these skills. You have to develop these training skills, these job instruction and job relations skills. These are key. Obviously, they are not coming from the Gemba.
And Mbuso, is that the same thing for you in South Africa?
Yeah,
leadership?
Certainly. Certainly. So I think I was quite interested in this last point that you touched on. So bringing sort of cases as well, as you say. So if you think about the first line leader, being critical, and correctly as Bruno in Chile, South Africa is the same thing as well, where people have been 35 years employed there. And if you think about it, so even the specialized skills, but you find that most of the people in the Gemba are, semi-skilled. So certainly with, so we call it daily Kaizen, but it's basically the concept around daily management. What it transforms those first line leaders into, being someone where generally when you go up, it's because you have the know-how of the job, but transcending and challenging that paradigm that you now have skills to teach, skills to be able to see waste and remove obstacles for the people below you, to an extent where I think personal case, we had certain minds that we work with, and industrial psychologists were coming and doing a study on leadership effectiveness. And you find that in the minds that we're working with, those leaders at that lower level, they actually performing because they've got leader standard work, they plan well, they execute their work well. Even though they might be less experienced than the actual people they are leading, they seem to be more effective as leaders than in the traditional minds where you don't have that structure of how to groom the leader to become the best leader. So yeah, I thought maybe let me latch on that, just on that lower level, because that's where you see the real results, and that's how critical those guys are at that lower level leadership, right?
And thank you, Mbuso. And how about in Brazil, Caetano? Yeah.
One thing that I would like to share is that the leadership, we have some troubles here, is that they are not they have not the culture of showing problems. They don't have this culture. So this of course must be a top level culture that must spread through the hierarchy. But this is one thing that happens a lot in mining sectors. They see the problem on the machine, they try to adjust it, but they won't report it. Sometimes it happens even with numbers, but they don't want to show the real number or the matter that is happening on the shop floor or on the machine. So they are trying to change the numbers, as you can say, to don't have some matters with their bosses. So this is one thing that we need to change in their mind, in their culture, to implement in this sector specifically.
Yeah. And when you are sharing this, right, it triggered me again. In Singapore, although we don't have mines, okay, we have a lot of high-skilled environment. And one thing that I can relate is we used to have a client who is doing very skilled EDM processes, right? So any small little changes will actually cause a few micron of deviation, okay? And one thing that I can relate to this is that the employee are actually very skilled. And going back to what you share, a lot of time they have a lot of adjustment. And to them, it's part and parcel because you can't get things really so accurate and so forth. So we actually took quite some time to really impart this knowledge of adjustment is a ways. You need to have SOP, standardized work. So I would like to also maybe hear from the rest of you. Do you have this challenge of like convincing a very skilled worker that writing SOP is actually mandatory, and how do you actually convince them? Is a side question.
Yeah, maybe here. Yeah, as I said before, these guys are very skillful, and they think and they say, and something is like that. They know the whole process. And I know the whole process. I know how to do these things because they have a valid point. I have 30 years working in this, so it's kind of true what they are saying. But yeah, with this change of thinking, the improvement, as I told you before, all these guys has a lot of consulting companies or had a lot of consulting companies in the history, and they said, and normally the consulting way is I go to your process and I told you what to do better, and do this, and this is the new standard, and you have to do this, and I measured you with this. The new way of doing the improvement for us, and that's our way of working, is that we do the improvements with you. We go to look for the waste of the process with you because you have the expertise of this. I can give you our point of view in the terms of the benchmark way of doing the things, and I can give you some new paradigms and some new point of view for doing the things. But I work with you guys and taking the better from Mbuso, that's the operator of this machine, and Caetano, the operator of this machine, and Fery from this, and we make the better way of doing the new job, but is a way together that the knowledge stays in the company, and is the knowledge of these very skillful guys. And then we make the standard with the guys. And if you make a standard that was made from my point of view, it's kind of logical that I will follow that standard. So don't push a new standard or a new way of doing. Just develop it with the workers, develop it with the people, and make the cross training with the same people. That's the better way of doing in this kind of companies.
Yeah, no, as Bruno is talking, I'm just thinking to say, as much as these people are smart, or as you say, smart, but I think something I find more often, because basically, if you think about it, the Kaizen transformation there's like a people, systems, and processes, those three elements coming together, right? And you might find that certainly in South Africa, the specialized skills are more on the technical side. So systems maybe quite specialized, but the journey that we're going through, and I agree with you, Bruno, to say, instead of coming and say this is the best way, and then we question each other, but how do we co-create? But what I find more on what needs to be embraced in South Africa, especially with the specialized skills, is the people element, to say that paradigm shift, to say, so whatever we're doing and we're putting in place, you made an example of putting SOPs, to say, how do we transcend from having a few technical people in isolation versus building one way, let's call it a framework that we can operate in, because that guarantees sort of sustainability. And again, it's not dependent on an individual, but it's a people-centric, to say we could leave tomorrow, but this operation or this organization will continue beyond your existence. So basically what I'm saying is you come and we co-create, looking at all the different paradigms, not just the technical know-how, but the people side and the processes as well.
Yeah, sometimes what we usually do is that showing them the big picture, and our methodology help us to showing them, like we show our map, our roadmap, and sometimes these people are doing the right thing, but not in the right place or in the right time. So we are trying to show in them the strategy, of course, not the top level strategy, but the strategy of the area or the site, and showing them, with them, we will build the correct thing to do at the correct time, at the correct place. So they will come with us to implement these two dimensions.
And just curious also from my perspective, right? You guys mentioned about leaders Kaizen, and you also mentioned about paradigm change. So from your experience, what is the single most common thing that you observe that you need to impart in the leaders, right? For them to adopt Kaizen. For example, personally, my experience are a few. One is like daily Kaizen, right? So when we want to implement in this type of skill environment, we ask them, hey, you need to meet daily. Oh, the first reaction is, daily? That's too much. We only meet weekly. But after a while, they start to see the benefit of daily meeting. They start to gain it. The other one is also the need to highlight performance challenges, right? And also addressing performance challenges. So perhaps, maybe from your experience, what is the single thing that you emphasize in leaders Kaizen to the leaders, the mindset change that has to be ingrained?
I think here in Chile, the daily Kaizen concept and this daily management, daily routines are kind of very, very stay in place now. The companies here in Chile already do it, so there is nothing for them, and the paradigm already changed to that. I think that now the main challenge and the main concept that we have to work in the Leaders Kaizen program that we have is that you have a goal, a challenge from here to 5 years, or our Ocean Canary normally is not 5 years, it are normally 15 years ahead, 20 years ahead, because it's the life of the mine, and normally the plans and the forecasts are made with the plan of the mine. When you do this long-term view and long-term challenge, and you set the long-term challenges, to put this long-term in the short-term phase, in the 1 year, okay, what we are doing this year, what continuous improvement projects, what we are doing this year, and taking that and putting them in the point of action, in the Gemba, and developing and making all the developing and the deployment of the Hoshin planning and the strat planning to the Gemba is a challenge that we are facing now, because normally and in an historical way, the way of doing this strategic planning in the companies is, okay, this site, this division must achieve 1K ton per year, 1 kiloton or 1 megaton per year, and that's the challenge. And then the facility or the site must realize how are going to do this and make traditional improvement way and the traditional projects. But this concept of setting the goal and setting it in a short term with the ocean mindset, and then putting them in an order deployment system it's a breakthrough that we are working now with them and aligning the projects to this. Just do the important things that planning always for.
Making goals that can be action, right, in the Gemba, right? Okay, that's
because they normally want to do. Everybody do projects, but sometimes some projects conflicts with other projects because there are so many people and the complexity that we spoke before. So putting this in an ordered way and systematically doing the deployment to the Gemba is like a game changer in this in this environment.
I couldn't agree with Bruno more, Fery. As you're talking, similar thing here. So you'd find in mining the concept of daily meetings. So they call them green area meetings, for instance, in the Kemba. So you come in already, that framework, it's built in. Probably the certain things that you introduce is better, visualizing of the performance, but it's in depth. It's already part of the culture. I think there's, the scenario in Chile with Bruno, I think the focus is on that integrated planning, the cascading down and saying, because the plans have really been separate. And as I said, if it's results driven, there's a fancy word in Afrikaans in South Africa that it's just, that's one culture where they hit hard, everyone swears. So it very much result orientated. When you actually go to most mines, you find that people are working 2 or 3 levels below that they are working with, because they're focused on the now, reacting to what needs to happen. So the biggest challenge with the leaders is to, let's pull you out of that, start thinking at your level, breakthrough, integrated as well. Where are we going? What does it mean for this department, and think from a value chain point of view, as opposed to different silos, to say, okay, so as maintenance or engineering, this is what we want to chase, and we chase it in a silo. It's detached from what's happening in production, what happens in supply chain. So how do we have that integrated planning that's cascaded down using your Hoshin process? And I think that's the biggest challenge for us as well. As I said, Bruno, as we're talking, I'm like, same problems here. If you think daily Kaizen, it's embedded, but strategy and integrated strategy planning is probably still a challenge that we are faced with.
That's good, guys. Just to add something that happens here in Brazil a lot is that the managers or the project team thinks that they are this, that they need to save the company, so they implement the projects alone, because they are the graduated guys, they are the technicals, and they don't mix the team with the shop floor team, the shop floor leader implementing the project. They think they must do it alone or with their level of managers, because they have the ability or the skills. And we know that this must be divided in the company. We have projects they are doing by the top levels that we need to involve the shop floor level with less time, but we need to involve them because they will sustain the new standards. And of course, small projects that must happen in the shop floor area, using in the daily routines that, as you said, we have here in Brazil too, more focus on safety than in KPIs or quality or control. And we need to change this mindset. It's not the middle management that will make the projects alone or implement the projects alone. We need to mix this, and our methodology says it, we need to mix this kind of improvements to have the long-term results.
And Caetano, you just hit the nail on the spot for the next question. Frontline workers are the backbone of the mining operations, right? And their involvement in continuous improvement is critical. So this question, gentlemen, how do you involve the frontline workers in the Kaizen activities? How do you ensure their voice are heard and ideas implemented?
Okay, good, Fery. One strategy that we can use, this depends of the company, but we can use is to train the people at the first time. So before the implementation or before the project, we train them, and we need to teach them how to see the wastes, mainly the 7 wastes. So we need to teach them it. Not a 1 year training, not just 1-2 days training, or 5 hours, 4 hours, in different days, that they learn to see. This is the main goal before making the project. And of course, we need to map the people, map the team. We need to have the guys that are more complex to manage it, that guys that are easily, that goes with the the river. So we need to see it. We have some tools to evaluate it and involve these different guys in different types of projects, as I said before.
The guys here, as Caetano said, is that no, you're not going to tell me something new. Just if you want to make something new, let's do it. Let's go to Gemba and do the different things. In the case we have some time to train the people in Gemba in this environment. The training must be very practical, not that theoretical. We have to show things, to show cases, to do things and changes things and doing very hands-on. That's the main way of working with these guys. And also our daily Kaizen model, and it's not only this daily management. It's not only going for KPIs and working with the PDCA and searching for anomalies in the process. The guys in the companies, in this kind of companies, are very skillful, and sometimes in some companies or some teams, these guys are not very empowered of doing things. They're kind of pushed by the supervisor or the leaders to don't do more than this. And the companies that actually succeed in this company, in this industry, are the companies that led to the people to do the improvements, to question the process, to give them tools to do these things, and to do them together with them. So the main thing is that our daily Kaizen model says not only the daily management, not only 5Ss, not only standardization, but also a lot of coaching kata with them from the supervisors, and constantly questioning our status quo of the in a daily basis, what we are doing, making coaching for it, and doing different things, and that the improvement came from the people in the Gemba. That's the better way in my experience and here in Chile of involving the people in Gemba to the continuous improvement.
Yeah, like the saying goes, right? I mean, one way to respect them is to also acknowledge their idea, challenge them, stretch them, not just agree with them, right?
Thanks, Fery. And I think, without elaborating, I agree with both gents that certainly with the daily Kaizen, it's basically the same way we said with the previous question. Cascading down of the strategy, daily Kaizen enables the bottom up as well, help chain, right? Where you're able to have the discussions and the culture of continuous improvement or problem solving that can be escalated when some things are beyond our control. But I thought maybe just to add as well, something that's quite powerful, more especially at the beginning. So as you start your daily Kaizen planning, or really the Gemba or the people that are working on the floor, so it becomes important to involve, because mining is very unionized, right? So I'm not too sure about the other countries, but in South Africa, it's very unionized, and you treat the unions as a key stakeholder. So you don't come and start implementing without involving the unions. In fact, while we're doing the planning of the transformation, the union leaders are sitting with us, building to say this is how it's going to look like for us, because leaving that, they become then advocates of whatever transformation that we bring. And because the people believe and they trust them, it becomes easier on the journey. But the second thing as well is sort of a form of a dipstick in terms of the employee engagement levels, because you find that more often than not, there's no systematic way that the voices of the Gemba are heard. So you do some form of a dipstick and say where the employees are. You can even do focus groups of finding some of their pain points, which, believe you me, are very different from the leadership's pain points. But bringing those pain points and the journey of continuous improvement or transformation journey includes, and it needs to be communicated, right? How are we addressing the pain points that they told you from the beginning, to say, hey, here we struggle with tools. how is the transformation journey going to be helping us to have access to better tools, all the pain points that we have on the Gemba. So I thought let's just maybe to add into this, those 2 points, unions, or labor unions, as well as that dipstick, to ensure that as we transform from the beginning, it involves the pain points, or addressing the pain points of the employees.
Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. And this question, right, before we wrap up, I'd like to hear from you. What is your advice to our audience who might be considering to implement something like Kaizen or continuous improvement program in mining? What should they focus first? Any advice?
Typical paradigm of the companies that call us and say, oh, I want to implement continuous improvement, Kaizen, Lean Six Sigma and everything, is that these companies are looking for rocket science. They think that they must begin with the most difficult things, and when you go to the game of these guys, you see a lot of low-hanging fruits and a lot of fruit in the floor, and rotting in the floor. Just start with the basics. You have a lot of money and a lot of improvement to do. Just go into the Gemba and applying the 7 wastes model, and just be there. Make the Ono circle thing and be there in the Gemba for 1 day, and you are going to see a lot of waste, and you are going to see a lot of changes that you can do in just 1 day. And then go for the next fruits and go further in the tree. The main concept here is start with the basics, start with the elimination of waste in a systematic way, and start developing and empower the people from the Gemba, from the whole levels, since the day number 1. If the people sees, as Mbuso said, here in Chile also is very unionized, all the companies has many unions actually. And the power and the negotiation power for doing changes in the company is from the unions is very high. So you have to work with them, involve them in this, but start for the basics with them.
Can share just one more tip is, if it's possible, make a pilot and spread it and show it around the company. In this way, they will break the paradigm of these don't happen in my kind of sector, my kind of company, in my area. This will help you to convince them.
I fully agree. I think I had the similar point as well as my colleagues, that as much as we said at the beginning, is this big thing. You start small, creating pilot areas, which you're creating lighthouses that you can roll over as the opportunities are there, as Bruno and Caetano have mentioned. But I think something that's also very important for me is it needs to be objective driven, right? So, and that's if I'm giving leadership some form of an advice, is that within mining, I think that's the one sector where safety is everything, and it needs to really align to say what our safety aspiration, to produce quality with less injuries, less fatalities, and if it's centered around the core objectives of the organization, you're more likely at the beginning to get that commitment. I think it was Masaki Imai's video. It says the reason it's successful or not, 3 reasons: leadership commitment, second one leadership commitment, and I guess what the third one is. So I think just getting that commitment by linking it to real objectives, real problems that we have, and creating these lighthouses over time, that would be my advice. Thanks, Fery.
Okay. Thank you. Well said, guys. And thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your valuable insights and experience with us today. It has been an enlightening discussion, and I'm sure our audience will take away plenty of actionable ideas for applying Kaizen in the mining sector. To our audience, thank you for tuning in to Kaizen Talk. We hope you gain inspiration and insights from these conversations. Stay tuned for more episodes as we continue to explore how Kaizen can transform industries and organizations worldwide with everyone, everywhere, every day. See you and bye-bye.